Calmness does not arise from how others behave or what they say, but from the ability to self-control and manage one's own reactions. Even though the world is constantly changing, sometimes overwhelming us with challenges that can easily pull us into chaotic whirlpools, we still have the right to choose to stand firm or let ourselves drift with fleeting emotions. When we understand that the source of peace lies within our inner strength, we learn to pause, breathe, and view everything with clarity without losing ourselves to anything that happens. Anger often does not erupt solely due to an action or words from others, but stems from our own silent expectations, desires that have never been expressed yet quietly await acknowledgement. When those expectations are not met, feelings of disappointment and hurt can easily ignite anger. To truly understand what we are angry about, we need to pause and introspect, listening to the inner feelings that demand attention. Only by identifying that root can we address the underlying issues and regain peace within ourselves. Whenever anger rises, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what expectation has just been broken, and why do I cling to it so tightly? By being honest with that question, negative emotions will ease, as if you are opening a door to clearly see the source of the outburst within. When you understand what you were hoping for and why it mattered, you not only lighten the weight of anger, but also learn how to grow from those seemingly unpleasant experiences. Silence is not a sign of weakness, but a manifestation of self-control. When faced with situations that easily provoke hasty reactions, silence provides us with a necessary pause to see everything clearly. Thanks to that pause, we can reflect more thoroughly, understand what is truly happening, and not let fleeting emotions overshadow reason. Silence also helps us separate the self from self-worth, so we do not get caught up in the need to protect our pride and forget the important thing: to respond wisely. It is in that silence that we find the strength to choose an appropriate response, remaining calm and discerning. Not every moment requires us to engage in an argument. There are times when speaking up only adds to the turmoil of our minds, while the issue remains unchanged. In those moments, silence becomes a wise choice, as it allows us to conserve our energy for what truly matters. Silence is not a sign of weakness or avoidance. Rather, it is a gentle filter that allows meaningless things to pass by without touching our inner peace. When we choose silence, we choose to maintain our own stability, rather than letting ourselves be swept away by trivial concerns. Sometimes we exhaust ourselves by taking everything too seriously, even when they are just minor bumps in life. When we learn to look at difficulties with a light smile, we are not denying or belittling the issue. We are simply maintaining the necessary calmness to avoid being swept away by negative emotions. Optimism does not mean avoiding or pretending that everything is fine. It is a way of refusing to let adversity define our mood and energy. With that attitude, we can navigate challenges more gently, more wisely, and sometimes even find a bit of humor in the chaos that helps us keep moving forward. Suffering often grows from the very desire that reality should be different, that things should have happened in another way. However, when faced with the unchangeable, resistance only makes us more exhausted. Only by accepting that there are things beyond our control can we find the calmness to reflect and choose how to respond wisely. And sometimes, a touch of humor becomes a gentle remedy, helping us navigate difficulties with a lighter heart, as if we can breathe more deeply amidst the unavoidable turmoil. Not everything that happens around us is worth getting angry about. There are times when the strongest reaction is not a shout or an emotional outburst, but a gentle touch deep enough to reach the other person. Sometimes, just a smile of understanding can soothe seemingly irreconcilable differences, helping us maintain peace within ourselves. When we choose how to respond instead of letting emotions take over, we take a step further into maturity. where every action is weighed on the scale of consideration and wisdom. And it is in that moment of self-control that we realize true strength lies not in a loud voice, but in the ability to remain calm when our hearts want to surge. Amidst the conflicts of life, winning an argument is actually not as valuable as maintaining peace within the soul. When faced with hurt, the best revenge is not to retaliate or become like the one who caused the pain, but to stay true to oneself. And above all, the ability to control one's reactions in any situation is the highest form of freedom, as it grants us the power to choose serenity in the face of what seeks to pull us into turmoil. You always have to fight for the last word. You are not truly free. Clinging to winning and losing only exhausts the mind and causes you to lose sight of what is more important. Peace is always a wiser choice than wounded pride, as it allows you to conserve energy for the moments that truly deserve your effort, the moments that can shape your own future. Instead of letting negative situations take away your peace, view them as opportunities to strengthen your ability to remain calm. Each time you face pressure, you can turn emotional control into a silent game, where the goal is simply to master your own reactions. And when you overcome an uncomfortable moment, mark that milestone as a reminder that your spirit is growing stronger each day. Recognizing one's own emotions is the first step to being able to control them instead of letting them overwhelm us. When we no longer try to suppress them, we learn to guide our emotions in a healthier way, so that each reaction comes from self-understanding rather than self-opposition. With each passing day, as we overcome even the smallest limits of ourselves, we lay another brick for lasting peace. And it is these silent victories, repeated day after day, that will gradually reshape our habits, emotions, and our lives. Sometimes, in very ordinary moments, we create scenarios in our minds about how others should behave, what they should say, and how they should treat us. Then, when reality does not align with those imagined scenarios, we easily fall into disappointment, frustration, and think that they are the reason we lose our peace. But in fact, what exhausts us is the expectations we have created ourselves. When we let go of the desire for others to act according to our wishes and turn back to observe how we react, we open up a lighter space for ourselves. Peace does not come from controlling someone else, but from the ability to adjust our own mood, thoughts, and attitudes. And sometimes, just being able to do that makes our hearts feel much lighter. Changing perception begins with understanding that reality is not something immutable, but always reflects what we nurture in our thoughts. When the mind changes, the way we perceive the world also changes. And from there, life opens up gentler paths. That is when we learn to accept the unchangeable, those things that are beyond our control, so we no longer tear ourselves apart in futile battles. Peace comes when we know how to focus on what we can truly master, from actions, emotions, to our own choices. And on that journey, we understand that trying to change others only exhausts the soul, as everyone has their own path to self-transformation. Preserving energy for ourselves, nurturing positive thoughts, and inwardly directing ourselves properly will open up a new reality where each step is lighter and clearer. Most of what others do stems from their own stories and struggles, not from any intention towards you. When someone behaves negatively, it doesn't mean you are the cause or that you deserve to take responsibility. Often, they are just grappling with fears, pressures, or wounds that you cannot see. Assigning their reactions to yourself only burdens your mind further and turns you into a bearer of things that do not belong to you. Instead of self-blame, give yourself some distance, far enough to observe the situation without getting caught up in someone else's emotional whirlwind. That distance allows you to breathe easier, to see clearly what their issues are and what you truly need to focus on. When you understand that others' actions are not a reflection of your worth, you will find your heart lighter, more grounded, and no longer submerged in unwarranted feelings of guilt. Anger sometimes appears as an explosive force, but in reality, it is merely a facade that conceals fear or unacknowledged wounds. When a surge of anger arises, the important thing is not to let it sweep you away, but to pause and listen to what is trembling beneath. It could be a worry, an old scar, or an unspoken feeling of unease. When you are calm enough to look deeply into that root, anger no longer dominates you. And it is that calmness, rather than shouting or an outburst, that is the true strength that helps you free yourself from the heavy emotional turmoil. True courage does not lie in dispelling all fears, but in the ability to discern what is worth fearing and what is not. When a person maintains their composure, it is not a sign of weakness, but a manifestation of profound mastery over oneself and the situation. Even anger can become a powerful resource if used wisely, to create something good rather than to destroy. Holding on to old wounds only traps you in a cycle of bitterness and exhaustion. Each time you remember, that wound not only remains unhealed, but also nurtures further heaviness in your soul. Forgiveness, in its deepest sense, is not an act of justifying or erasing the mistakes of those who caused the pain. Forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. It is the way you open the door to step out of the darkness where heavy memories still cling. And when you choose to lighten your heart, you are also choosing the version of yourself you want to become, rather than allowing the past to dictate who you are. Letting go is not forgetting, but rather stopping the permission for what has happened to continue defining your present. Forgiveness is not the act of forcing yourself to forget what has happened, but rather the choice to stop allowing the past to continue to influence the present. It is the moment you gently lay down the burdens that no longer serve your growth and peace. When you let go, you do not deny the pain, but give yourself the opportunity to move forward, freer and more open to the life ahead. When we try to control the lives of others, what we receive in return is only disappointment and a loss of peace within our own souls. Every action, every decision they make is beyond our reach, and the more we cling, the more exhausted we become. The only thing that truly belongs to us is how we live, how we behave, and how we adjust ourselves in every circumstance. When we learn to turn inward, nurture ourselves, and become a true reflection, we do not need to force or intervene in anyone's life. Calmness and consistency in our actions will naturally spread, creating a gentle influence that is more sustainable than any form of control. Only by letting go of the need to manipulate others can we truly open up space for peace and for relationships to breathe, to live, and to become more authentic. Let each person be free to walk the path they choose, even if that choice sometimes does not align with your expectations or desires. When you open your heart to accept that difference, you are giving them space to grow in their own way, while also freeing yourself from the burden of having to direct everything. The freedom you give becomes a gift that returns to you, light, pure, and unbinding. And in that journey, what defines a true leader is not control or imposition, but a calm, steady presence, deep enough for others to feel and find their own way. When you are fully present instead of trying to manipulate, you become a support for others to trust, rather than a limitation that causes them to withdraw. Leadership like this is about guiding with an open mindset, respecting the freedom of others, and the quiet strength of being fully aware. The human mind sometimes only needs a small event to construct an entire negative story, causing emotions to become heavy without our awareness. However, when we recognize this automatic mechanism, we can choose a different way to respond. Instead of allowing uncontrolled interpretations to lead us, we pause, look directly at the truth, and actively rewrite the story in a more positive direction. This is not about sugarcoating everything, but about choosing a grounded, realistic, and fair interpretation for ourselves. When we learn to adjust our perspective, what seems negative can become lighter, and the mind can thus find greater peace. The ACD method begins with awareness. When we gently turn inward and recognize the signs of stress manifesting in our bodies, whether it is a faster heartbeat, shallow breathing, or an indescribable heavy feeling. From that stopping point, we move into the control phase, allowing the body to slow down with a few deep breaths, as if creating a peaceful space amidst the swirling emotions. And when the mind has calmed down, we shift to orientation, choosing a more positive and realistic interpretation for ourselves, so as not to be swept away by hasty reactions. As a result, we become more aware, more self-controlled, and able to direct our minds toward a brighter, lighter, and healthier perspective. Sometimes what bothers you is not the event itself, but the way you perceive it. It is the perspective, not the situation, that makes emotions feel heavy. When you find yourself caught up in frustration or disappointment, pause and ask yourself whether the story you are telling in your head is truly accurate or just a hasty interpretation. The moment you ask that question is also when you open up a new choice for yourself. Because no matter what happens, you always have the right to choose a different response. One that is gentler, wiser, and more aligned with the person you want to become. In every debate, the important thing is not to try to win, but to persistently seek the truth hidden behind the differences. When we listen with a genuine desire to understand, rather than just waiting for an opportunity to refute, the atmosphere of dialogue becomes lighter and our hearts more open. And it is in the most tense moments that calmness becomes a quiet yet enduring strength, helping us maintain clarity to see what is right, to connect with each other with goodwill instead of confronting with tension. Or your voice, gently, as if inviting the person opposite to step into a safe space. At that moment, open-ended questions will become the door for them to express their true thoughts, and you just need to fully listen to each response. Your calmness will spread, slowly but surely, enough to soothe the entire room and soften the tensions that seem difficult to resolve. In that moment, the goal is not to impose or use force to control the situation, but to maintain your own integrity and lead with a present, sincere presence. The body always has a way of speaking up even before the mind can understand what is happening. The subtle tension in muscle groups, or the breath becoming more rapid than usual, are early signs of stress that we often overlook. By learning to listen to these small signals, we can recognize the pent-up emotions and make timely adjustments before they explode. Focusing on the body is like opening a silent map, helping us return to calmness and keep our emotions safer. The body always carries silent signs of the unconscious mind, like a mirror reflecting what we do not express in words. When we slow down and listen to the body, we are truly listening to ourselves at a deeper level, where emotions and needs are most clearly revealed. This connection opens up a peaceful inner space, allowing us to perceive everything with calmness and clarity, so that each response arises from a genuine understanding of ourselves. Your attention is a valuable resource, and therefore, you have the right to preserve it as an important part of yourself. By selectively choosing what enters your mind, you are granting yourself the peace and focus necessary to live more fully. Not everything that appears before you is worth stopping for, and not everyone deserves your reaction. When you learn to direct your attention to what truly matters, you will gain a clearer sense of your own value and the freedom in the subtle choices of your mind. What you pay attention to will quietly grow in your life, so it is important to direct your mind towards things that nourish and support you. When you realize there are things that only drain your energy, be decisive enough to step away from them, just like avoiding a toxic wind that erodes your inner peace. Your mental space is where your thoughts, emotions, and silent strength reside, guiding your entire journey of life. So cherish it with the same respect as you would protect your most valuable possessions. As long as you choose the right things to focus on, everything good will eventually blossom over time.